Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending on where you're watching from. It is Jean-Luc Baker with my special guest, Jackie Wong.
Ice dance practice.
Yeah, championship ice dance practice here in Wichita. We are so ready for this. I'm so excited. We're going to see some amazing skating today.
And everybody's going to be here because this is the only chance they get at the main rink.
That's it. So you're going to see some crazy stuff today. With that being said, let's check out who's on the ice.
Yes.
Okay, so here we go for this practice. We have our reigning world champions out here, our current national champions. We have some amazing athletes performing today. Practicing, I should say.
And performing. I mean, it's ice dance practice, so you have to perform.
You're absolutely right. And as you can see, and I don't know if you caught any of the pairs practice last night, there were 3 or 4 teams on their ice. We're looking at a 5-team session right now, and that's pretty standard for ice dance, and it's going to start getting pretty tight on this skate today.
Well, Jean-Luc was schooling me on nationals ice dance practices before we were coming on here. And we were saying how this really is the only time any of these dance teams get to practice on this main rink. And so they get one program run through on the main rink, and that's usually going to be the rhythm dance because of the patterning.
Yeah, absolutely, and as you can see, actually, there's an equal split out here. I think I see 3 free dances and 2 rhythms.
Yeah.
It's going to be really interesting. Like, everyone has a different strategy of what they like, but this is the only chance that these skaters get to hear their music on this rink. They'll be skating a couple more times, but on the practice rink, and then the day of the event, there's just a 20-minute practice, which both of them a warm-up realistically, no music, and that's the next time they touch this ice before that 5-minute warm-up, and then it's game time. So I always remember that these practices were very stressful because you really want to make sure you get your spacing and you want to get all the feels right, take in the environment, but also realize it's still your first day of practice, so you don't want to be too amped up. So this was always a really tough one to manage energy.
So adding to Chalk and Bates, we also have Brady and Somerville, who were the surprise last year here and making it to the world team. They've been an interesting team too, because the kind of just depending on how consistent they are, they can really
Our first couple is
anywhere. They can obviously be back on the podium again this year,
performing their free dance.
It is
they
one
will
of those
be
things
followed
where
by Emily Brady in Somerville
the ice
performing
dance
rhythm dance.
results are no longer as sort of like, hey, we know what's going to happen. And it continues to be that way.
Oh yeah, you can. There's some movement that can happen in ice dance now. You have a lot of young teams fighting for these top spots, and obviously Chalk Bates have their spots solidified, but we're really looking way more about, I was so analytical with, before in the locker room, I always asked the other guys that were skating, I was like, what are you doing in your program? Nothing from, I want to know because I want to know what my competitors are doing, but for me, it was all strategy, and I started saying it from very beginning when we were in junior. I was like, hey, what are you doing on this warm-up, or what are you doing on this practice? Because if I know, like, this team isn't doing like a curve or a combo lift, and I'm like, is it like your middle program, fourth, fifth element? So that way, right when they took that break, I knew exactly, okay, I can find out they're setting up a lift. Okay, so now they're not doing this one, though, they're gonna set it, so we can follow them right into it and sneak right behind them. Because it's 5 teams, and usually being such a short practice, it's so hard to get all your elements in. Because so much of our practices are judged too, as much as we don't really want to think about it, I think that we're perceived, we're watched, and I think that you're wanting to give your best when you are skating, just to feel really good, but also to perform at your highest quality. And when you're always watching out for other people in the middle of an element, you're always apprehensive, you're giving 70% of what you really can.
Well, I remember very clearly from last year when you and I were doing this commentary for dance. The Browns, who had a really rough practice, and it translated to what happened in the free dance, and that, you see that quite a bit with ice dance practices where
Time on the music.
you kind of
4
have an
minutes,
off
10
practice, and it
seconds.
kind of does
Skating
lead
next,
to something different.
Emily
in the
Brandy
actual
and Ian
competition.
Somerville.
It really can, and especially, I mean, they did a full run through on that practice. I remember it, and I was shocked. I was like, wow, this is the day in between the rhythm and the free, and they're deciding to do a full program. And although maybe strategically that works for them, I just feel like you lose your mojo just a little bit, or it sets a tone that you don't want. On now is Emily and Ian. In terms of quality of turns, this team is so good at that. They're probably some of the best skaters in this event. When they're on, they are on. Effortless for both of them. Yeah, I mean, I've worked with them a couple times, and it's been so much fun because they will just do anything that you ask. You say, try this, they're like, all right, let's do it. And it's so easy for them. I think their biggest battle will be making sure that they don't get too much in their heads for this event. Understanding like they had such an amazing season last year, going to their first World Championships, but not qualifying for the free thing. Really rough rhythm dance, just a 1-3 fall in the samba pattern last year, and it just affected them so much that didn't allow them to get to the free. And I think that yeah, the 50s, 60s, and 70s social dance style essentially is what the base of this is, and it's fun. It's fun, but what I'm noticing is a lot of forced projection. Everyone's like performing, and like this is a little better for me. It's like a little bit more dance together. Where the first half of the program I thought was like, we're gonna execute, we're gonna perform because the judges are here. That felt for me like it was a little bit more authentic to both what they want. Great ice coverage on that lift. Wow. Ice coverage on a rotational lift is so challenging.
Time on the
To
music,
keep those feet
3
moving
minutes,
within the
0
position and
seconds.
all of that.
Well, and we've seen
Skating
rotational lifts
next,
get so
performing
slow
their
that
free
they end up
dance
getting
are
called
Madison Chalk
stationary
and
lifts.
Evan
Oh,
Bates,
yes, we have.
to be followed by Eva Pate and Logan
And we've seen
Bond
stationary
performing
lifts
their
that don't
free
center
dance.
quick enough that get called a rotational. So up next we have our world champs, Maddie and Evan. This program has developed so much. It's absurd.
It really has.
The details and nuances, I saw them a couple weeks ago. Wow. I'm excited. They are really doing everything they can to make sure that medal stays exactly where it should be in their hands for the World Championships. But first stop is here. Absolutely, and I think that's like the recipe, right? I mean, we don't have the same jumping passes or pretty much the same kinds of lifts. So what we try to do most of the time as ice dancers is really take something that we already know rather than relearning a whole new skill. Although it's important to do that, a lot of these teams you're going to see are repeating things or like evolving them. Realistically, that's the smartest thing to do to use your off season is just how do you make something that you've done better rather than create something brand new.
Than the other things that they've done in other programs. I think that may be the thing that I reacted to most.
Yeah.
Like it was like, okay, we have a slow section. It almost is a little for them.
Yeah. There's so much to make though. I mean, in terms of like your elements for where your points can come, I mean, your combo lifts are worth a lot, your diagonal steps, and then next in line, you're going to be looking, if you can get a 4-4-1 foot, you can make bank with points. New lift there. It's cool they evolved that from what the Grand Prix circuit in the final. A little bit different from what they've previously done. And this has all changed too. I believe they now do their choreo step the other direction, coming towards the judging panel instead of away, which I think is so much more impactful, especially at ice level. Because you feel the energy coming towards you as opposed to leaving you. It's like a fleeting feeling. It just really amplifies the whole feeling of the program. Well, does not suck. It's excellent.
Time
I
on the
mean, when you
music,
talk about
4
class and you talk
minutes
about
and
ice
11
dance class, I
seconds.
think that they are the pinnacle of what that is.
Skating next,
It's
Eva
my
Pate
favorite
and Logan Bond
free dance of
skating their
theirs
free
since
skate,
probably the
followed
last
by
Olympic
Vanessa
season,
Pham
the
and
Alien.
Anton
The Alien was
Spiridonoff
so cool.
skating
Yeah, I
their-
agree. I
their
agree.
rhythm dance.
Ava and Logan, looks like they actually went back to
Yep.
the Scheherazade program that they did from last year. If you have any questions for Jackie and I, send them to @USFigureSkating on X. We're gonna do our best to try to get those answers to you. In the meantime, enjoy some good ice dance.
Less Scheherazade and more Prince Igor.
Oh,
This
my
is
bad.
the pull-ups and dances. They had so much success with this one from last year.
Yeah, it was a really good breakthrough performance for them. Dave and Logan are actually married. Did you know that? For sure you did. I believe so. Yeah, I believe so.
I was gonna say, there's the twizzles that we just saw that would have gotten level 4s for both of them, and they looked fine, but they were just messy in both the synchronicity of the two of them, and also they just kept moving in and out of each other
Absolutely.
the whole time.
I mean, as a judge, you give me no reason to give you more than a +2 in terms of what I'm witnessing. And yes, now if you get that synchronicity and then you're starting to get more of that spacing staying constant, like, yeah, I could explore a 3, and if you want anything more than a 3 in ice dance, that 4 and 5 GOE, I think you're exploring more of a feeling. Like, how does that make you feel?
Got a little trip there.
Yeah, just a little bit.
But yeah, it's those really tiny things
Yep.
that you might not even see on camera that you would see from a judge's perspective, because you're looking at people kind of from a different angle, right?
Yep.
And you see the spacing differently, and you see the coverage differently. It really can be deceiving what you see on a camera versus what you see kind of from a stationary seat.
And it's so interesting, like when we're creating new elements or rehearsing new elements, realistically, we do them from so many different angles just to see like which gives the best perspective, and judge 1 through 4 might see something way different than what 5 through 9 or whatever might see.
I do have to say, one of my favorite things that I've seen over the past few seasons of the rule changes is the choreographic assisted jump.
It's cool, huh?
Yeah, there was this whole thing when it first came out. There was this like dread that, like, oh my god, they're turning dance into air skating.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
like assisted jump. What does that mean?
Yeah.
And they've really, depending on the pair, or depending on the ice dance teams, they've really made those into big flare kinds of choreographic elements, which has really been fun to watch.
100%. And I wish it wasn't called choreo jump, honestly.
Yeah.
Because there's nothing really jumping about it. There's a little jumping motion, but there's so much carry through into a lift space. Like, as long as it's less than 3 seconds, you're good to go. So unless you can tell me a freestyler that can hang time for less than 3 seconds, like more than one, it's gonna be a tough go. So This one's really fun too. A new team, Vanessa and Anton, teamed up this year. Also a big fan just because Caitlin's down at the boards right now as their head coach with Patrice. And it's so cool seeing her down there.
I just saw Caitlin. She's like, I'm coaching the first half and I'm going to DJ the second half.
That's it.
So good.
Been more or less kind of thrust into the senior circuit right away, and Anton's been around on the senior circuit for quite a while, so that dynamic I find to be interesting, right? Especially with ice dance, where you really need to spend that time and sort of develop your reputation.
Oh, absolutely. Very fun choreo step. Character step.
Timeline using 3 minutes and 1 second. Competitors, there is about 14 minutes left in this practice session.
14 minutes is a lifetime.
Oh, that was like one of the moments usually when I would start laughing at Caitlin. I'm like, there's no way I'm going to skate for 14 more minutes right now. 14 minutes doesn't seem long, but when you're out there, you're like, man, I already did everything.
Yeah.
What do you want me to do? Do it again? I thought that was the point of training, so I do it. When I come here, I just have to do it like twice. It was always so fun for me in this moment, though, because I felt like it was the time I was like, all right, cool, let's just, what else do you want to do? Anything else you want to do to feel patterning? You want to have some fun? I mean, obviously the goal for us was always to just have the most amount of fun we could, but I think just giving ourselves the best opportunity to, like, feel the space, take in the environment. We used to skate a lot alone the last couple minutes, too, of these practices to just really absorb what we can, so when we can come into the event, we can just be in our zone. Can you hear us better now? Okay. I saw on Twitter people were saying like the volume Yeah, we were all sitting here. All right, cool.
Maddie and I have been really going through their free dance here.
Absolutely. Going back for that 1 foot section again.
There we go. That's a lot better of a turn than earlier.
100%.
I think it was this rocker that was not. That
Yes.
didn't turn out very well.
Yeah. There isn't really also like a safe space to stand when you're talking to your coaches on the ice. There really is not in ice dance because we're just like on the walls the whole time.
Well, and especially if you are choreographing programs for Olympic rinks, right? Olympic rinks tend to be much more square on the corners, and so you're going to choreograph into the corner. And if you're in an NHL rink, you're going to get less of that corner.
Oh yeah.
And so you're always just trying to get through that.
We a lot of the time, which is so funny, we would always come a little bit earlier before the practices themselves and come out by the ice and just kind of put our cues into terms of like where we would take the counter of our 1 foot section, what letter of figure skating, if the markings on the wall says US figure skating, we would pick like the F or the U, and that's the direction of which I'm aiming for, and then Caitlin would adjust as 2 over, 3 over, and then we have like clear benchmarks in which we're aiming for, because otherwise there's like too much freedom in like space when you're not being too accurate with it.
Okay, but my favorite thing is when the dancers are in their free dance outfits and they are doing their rhythm dance patterns.
Oh, that for me, I was always like, man, for real right now? Are you kidding me? Like, we're gonna do that right now? I guess I understand. Like, we gotta use the time, but I feel so goofy because I'd be wearing a flowy shirt and then I'd be like trying to do some disco or something like that. And although you could mix it well, but if I'm wearing a purple like flowy shirt, light purple maybe.
I feel like that was your trademark, the purple flowy shirt.
I loved them. Anything flowy.
Purple or aubergine.
Yeah, big fan.
Yeah.
Fan. Cream, flowy, anything flowy. Didn't
just
like
flowy.
anything like too tight, restricting. We would there were times we'd go to a competition, we'd do the 5-minute warm up, and if I had a bow tie or I had my top button done, if we were doing like a swing or anything like that, by the end of the 5 minute, one of them, it would either be undone or off. Like, and Caitlin's like, what are you doing?
What happened?
And I was like, nah, like there's no way this bow tie is going to be the reason I skate like well. Like, it's not going to change my score, but it might not make me skate well. So I just needed to be comfortable in those moments. Did not like feeling restricted.
I'm a little sad because I don't think they did their twizzle sequence during the run through, did they?
I don't think.
Emily
No,
and
they
Ian?
did not, because they started right after with their choreo step here.
I love their twizzle sequence, mostly because they start off with that forward outside edge
Oh my
one.
gosh.
And with the leg at 90, like that.
It's absurd.
It's so hard.
No. Like that is actually probably one of the hardest things to do. For real, it is so crazy.
Hard enough to do it backwards.
Yeah.
But that forward outside twizzle is one of the most treacherous things because you can catch everything at any time.
Oh yeah. I mean, 100%. I mean, it's all treacherous if you're not paying attention.
I mean, number of times I've fallen on twizzles.
You and me both.
Probably like, at least 800.
Oh. Dang, it wasn't on camera. Sorry, Vanessa and Anton just did a beautiful 1 foot sequence.
It was nice.
Yeah, as we talked about doing rhythm dance things, the skater on the screen there just put his fingers through his hair in a white flowy shirt, and I don't think that the vibes match up the same there.
No, sometimes in disco era you wear some flowy shirts.
You know what? You're not wrong. We got a question. You often see level 4 lifts in ice dance. Is it easily achievable? It depends, but there's a lot of ways that you can get them, and it's just a matter of finessing the skill set of both partners. Not all partners, actually the majority of skaters aren't that comfortable doing a lift and spread eagle, so you're limited then to different positions, being a 1 foot, or sometimes the guy isn't having to be in a position depending on the difficult entry, difficult exit. There's so many little minuscule rules that sometimes stack depending on if they're in combo lifts. You can like double up on an entry, or it's very, very intricate. But level 4 lifts are, I mean, mandatory at this level. For the most part. Actually, what's so interesting about the teams at this event, for the most part, in the free dance, I would say particularly, I'd say maybe your top 8, maybe your top 9 will almost have identical technical sheets, minus maybe a couple differences on footworks. You might see 1 or 2 teams, especially the top 2, getting level 4 footworks, or getting one of the partners a level 4 footwork within their performance. But after that, the rest of the skaters should be and will be getting level 4 spins. They'll be getting their level 4 lifts. Twizzles will be 4. It's almost mandatory, and I always found that so stressful with ice dance because you could say that there's no room for error in any of the disciplines, but really, if you have one little stumble, the smallest stumble can take you from 1st to 6th place the quickest. And even you can skate clean and have one even bobble on a twizzle and get it downgraded once or twice. It's so challenging to kind of handle that pressure of realizing that you kind of have to skate perfect, even though perfection doesn't exist, in my opinion.
Well, and that's why last year it was such a chaotic finish to the ice dance, to the free dances, because you had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, probably 5 or 6 teams that were very evenly matched. And you could have seen any of them be like 105 to 120.
Yep.
But depending on exactly what you were saying, one little slip, one or 2 levels difference, like those things make a huge difference in standings for ice dance.
Oh, so much. And then if you can squeak out those little level 4 footworks here and there, those are the times that Caitlin and I always were like, okay, we got to try to get those, get the most bang for our buck and understanding our skill sets.
Here's a curious one for you, JL. Combo lifts versus solo lifts.
Ooh.
The fact that combo lifts are kind of like in single skating, right? You have combination jumps that are literally one jump plus another jump in terms of base value. It's the same thing with combo lifts. It's one lift plus another lift. But the difficulty of doing a combo lift is so much higher than if you do 2 individual lifts, right?
Actually,
I
disagree a little bit on my opinion, because we always leaned into doing combo lifts because what it allowed us to do is double up on some of our entries and exits. So more times than not, we did a change edge curve lift, so an outside edge curve to an inside edge curve, which allowed us to take the entrance from the first lift and it carries over for levels, and then the exit carries over for the exit of the first, even though I don't put her down. It's quite complicated, but what it does is, one, it saves a little bit of time because you're not having to do another prep setup on pattern for a third lift. And usually they have a little bit more impact because it's longer, so people see the beauty of a lift for a longer period of time. So it depends on what kind of lift you're doing, but I'm always a huge advocate for a beautiful just change edge, curve lift. I think that anything that just shows the elegance of a skater longer, especially for the liftee, like being in the air, it's so cool. So everyone has their own skill sets, but we always leaned into doing combo lifts.
If we mispronounce your name, please notify the announcer.
So a couple days in, have you had any changes to what you're excited about seeing over the next couple of days?
Oh, I mean, it's tough because watching those women's practices were unreal. Just seeing the caliber and how much density there is, especially like so many people fighting for that podium. I mean, there always is, but really, like, there's not a clear cut like, oh, if this person skates clean, it's gonna be them.
And you missed Alyssa landing a triple axel in the practice rink yesterday.
Oh, she it?
She landed one.
Ooh.
It was under, but it
She still did it.
she still did it.
All right.
She put it onto her feet.
We're getting there. Obviously, I'm biased. I'm so excited to see how this ice dance event pans out. I think that there's some incredible skaters, and again, knowing that this is all starting to count towards those Olympic spots for themselves. The pairs practices yesterday too, as well. There's some beautiful skating.
Yeah.
So I'm just excited across the board just to see like all these skaters.
Christina Carrera and Anthony Ponomarenko, Rafaela Concius and Alexei Shepetov, Annabelle Morozov and Jeffrey Chen, Katerina Wolf-Kostin and Dmitry Zarevsky.
Two more podium favorite teams here in this second group.
Yep. Very true. Amelia and Vadim are in this group, and they have grown so much this last 12 months since last nationals. They're really starting to lean into their maturity, and their performance quality is so good. And I find that Amelia particularly is becoming such a powerful performer, understanding that this is maybe, I think, the second season for her doing ice dance? Third, excuse me, thank you for that. But
Yeah,
still
I mean,
very cool.
She went from singles to ice dance real quick.
Yeah. That team here will be fighting for a spot on that Four Continents and Worlds team.
Totally.
They're absolutely pushing for it, and they're getting the scores that can get it.
And that's the thing with them is they've had all the potential this season to really have a breakthrough, but they have not had a really like bang out full competition yet.
Yeah.
They've been making mistakes here and there, and it's a testament to also, I think, them pushing themselves to doing more and more difficult things.
Yes. Oh, Christina and Anthony, new costumes for the free dance.
They are new costumes.
Thank you. I love it. I love it. I wasn't a huge fan of the previous ones, but I think this is very, very, it's beautiful.
And that's more of a satiny maroon.
That's it. I mean, you know me. I love a good flowy shirt. You got me halfway there if I see a flowy shirt.
I mean, Carmen isn't really a flowy shirt kind of program.
Why not?
I don't know.
I don't know.
I don't know.
Maybe this one is, but that team has improved immensely as well over the last, again, 12 months. They had an amazing skate at U.S. Nationals last year, really putting themselves in contention to just be one of U.S. tops teams, and it's really cool to see them develop and just set themselves apart with their maturity. I mean, you can see even just the way that they carry themselves around the rink. They're here just to do their own job. They're not paying attention too much. You guys can follow us on social media at US Figure Skating. It's on the screen. Check it out.
Competitors, there is 1 minute remaining in the warm-up. After the warm-up, our first couple to skate will be Emilia Zingas and Vadim Kolesnik performing their free dance, to be followed by Christina Carrera and Anthony Ponomarenko.
Also, what's different with ice dance on these practices is that ice dancers only get 5 minutes to warm up as opposed to 6. And you'd think that, like, oh, well, they don't have that much to warm up. But we spend 4 of those 5 minutes trying to find the right window to do one of our elements.
Well, but also, as opposed to single skating especially, where you're mostly warming up your jumps,
Yeah.
the amount of time for you to warm up an entire pattern or even half a pattern is so much longer than for you to go and, like, basically go from one end to the other and do a jump.
Yeah. I mean, 100%.
And the energy that is required to do that is so much different, too.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, we got to a point where we're like, okay, second half of footwork. We're just doing second half of our footwork or the first half, and then we do maybe a 1 foot section in a twizzle set and call it at that, because just the energy that it takes to do that, and a full footwork sequence can take like 45 seconds sometimes.
Right.
Amelia and Vadim here. Choreographed by Benoit Richaud, I believe, this free dance.
It has been interesting to see Benoit doing more ice dance programs, because I do think it's a different look than what he does with singles programs. And he was an ice dancer.
Mm-hmm.
And it for me, a lot of these work better as ice dance programs.
Oh, it's beautiful landing.
Ooh, a little bit there.
A very awkward
Yeah.
1 foot in terms of like just fluidity of those turns. Back inside rocker does
Both
not,
of them.
Yeah, and the back outside bracket does not give you like flow. And this is an element for them which has been a little notorious for being a little trickier. And
Generally good.
I was going to say, and I hope it stays that it was a problem, not anymore, because that was that second twizzle, that outside twizzle was, couldn't get more in unison.
My only nit on that was that they started coming in together on that third twizzle.
I agree.
That was the only thing, if anything, that was sort of wrong with it.
Isn't that so interesting though? Because you watch and you're like, oh yeah, look, they got closer together, but then it makes you realize that they weren't as close prior to it, and it's like a subtle little hidden thing you can do. There's a lot going on here. A lot of freedom though. It's nice. Whoa. I understand the use of his hair. Vadim has got that hairography down.
And that was all choreographed for the hair.
I think so.
Love the control on that lift.
Yeah, very hard.
You all did those types of like yoga pose lifts quite a bit, and I always thought you all did a fantastic one.
Oh, thank you. Yeah.
It's like that. It's the control, right? It's the being able to look like you are not moving, but you're actually moving at a fairly high speed.
Oh yeah, absolutely. The ability to slow down while moving fast, if that makes any sense.
Yeah.
It's so challenging.
Yeah, a bunch of free dances here today.
Mm-hmm. It's crazy how a costume changes so much, and for me already this looks very different than what they've competed on the Grand Prix circuit. These costumes are stunning from what I can see up here. When I talked earlier about Chalk Bait's 1 foot section in terms of like how they could probably push themselves a little bit more, that's a little bit more of an example of what I was talking about. Although the steps were similar, there was a little bit more thought or more dance to it.
Unison was all there.
Wow. Solid. This team has just improved so much.
That was another one of those things where I was curious as to what the judges would have seen from Rinkside.
Mm-hmm.
Speaking of Rinkside, because from up here, our angle had them looking very close together.
Yeah.
But from the judges' angle, you could potentially see more of the spacing in between more clearly.
Mm-hmm.
So that was one of those where I was like, could have been a +4, but it also could have been a +2 or 3.
Yep. What I liked though is it stayed continuous. It didn't seem like they got too much closer or further.
Right.
I really like this choreo step. I think it's very characteristic here. Annabelle and Jeffrey in a front row seat.
Like, what do you do with that?
Can't buy tickets for that one.
You're like, okay, well, you can't go backwards. You can't go forward.
No,
you
you're
just have
stuck.
to stay there.
Yeah. You're better off just being a totem pole at that point, just staying still.
So, question for you here. What music that is currently not a warhorse that you would want to become a warhorse?
Oh my gosh, the Macarena? No, I don't know. I don't know. If I told you that, then I'd give all my choreographic ideas, wouldn't I? Oh, I don't know. That's such a hard question.
Well, watching the junior men earlier, I feel like Philip Glass is becoming more of a warhorse.
Yeah, you're not wrong there.
Nathan Chen influence.
Yeah. The intricacy of this footwork is actually quite challenging. It looks like it changed a little bit from the last time I saw it, but skated very well. Love the attack there. Wow, Christina's going. Very cool.
Her power has just improved very steadily over the past few years to the point where they match a lot better now.
Oh, I completely agree. Yeah, I think the influence of having Maddie Hubble a part of their team has just been immense for the development and growth of Christina.
Yeah. Were those your favorite costumes of the event so far?
I don't know if they're my favorite, but well,
I'll ask you again later.
yeah. Ask me again later. Ask me again later.
Their teeth trying to get through those.
I completely agree. I completely
like
agree.
it felt like a different program when they did that lift.
Yep. They skated into it like different skaters too.
Exactly.
They really trusted that element compared to the other ones.
Yeah. And then sort of like the subsequent parts of this program have got better because of it.
Mm-hmm.
The kind of corollary that I have for that is when you watch a singles program and you see a skater sort of spend the first 30, 45 seconds setting up triple axels or quad toes or whatever, and it's sort of that sort of tenseness of it. And then all of a sudden the next jump is a triple loop, and they're like, oh, no, that's easy.
Okay. Yeah, I completely agree.
It's just it does feel like for them the lifts are more in their wheelhouse.
Oh, the lifts are very much in their wheelhouse.
Really strong.
I mean, that's the hardest thing. I think like one of the hardest things in ice dance is like keeping that looseness, but being clear enough to where you don't throw away turns.
Yeah.
Time on the music, 3 minutes, 0 seconds. Our next couple to skate is Annabelle Morozov and Jeffrey Chen, skating the rhythm dance.
I mean, the importance of these practices, too, is crazy. I mean, your technical panel is here watching, and they will be doing practice calls for the event themselves. So every time you're doing a footwork, they're watching you, and they're counting, okay, how many turns did you get? Which turns did you kind of make a mistake on? And then they can kind of have a little bit of a different idea from when the event starts.
What do you think about the matching patterns on their costumes?
Well, you know, it might be a different image when you're closer. From up here, I actually didn't know if they were doing rhythm dance at first. But then I looked at his flare pants and I was like, okay, it's probably rhythm dance. Very close.
I know,
Whoa, that is some top tier synchronicity there to be able to stay that close.
And they continue to.
Yeah.
Now they've gotten a little bit farther.
I like this team. I think they have a lot of fun. A lot of really fun qualities to them as well. The expression is crazy, like in the best way possible, but Annabelle is such a performer as well. Oh, fast tempo for this. So in this pattern here, this partial step sequence, which starts out with the slip steps of the paso doble, you can only have, for each of the turns, the mohawk, your rocker, there'll be a counter and a bracket in there, and you can only do 2 counts entry edge and 2 counts exit edge. Anything more than that, even if the turn's clean, it won't get called.
Well, and you know this, you know the beat of this song very well because you skated to
I
it.
do. Taking a page from Chalk Bates' book with this rhythm dance here. That's the 4th or 5th piece of music.
Not 10, though.
No. It's getting a little too out of control.
Yeah.
They started out performing together. They started out performing in their bubble, and like we were invited in. And now I feel like they're like, we're gonna like let it rip. We're gonna perform. And that kind of headspace allows you to actually disconnect more with your partner, which creates a little bit of difference intensity.
But also there's sort of the perils of letting loose in your performance, where then you sometimes forget about body alignment and you forget about form and shape, right?
Yeah.
And I think that's one of those things that you see some of the really top teams, when they let loose, they continue to keep that in mind and have that, you know, be part of their programs.
100%. Now, Katerina and Dimitri actually are doing the junior circuit internationally. They were at the final, and I believe they got a silver medal there, but competing senior nationally. So that back inside rocker Katerina did was 2 counts, 2 counts. Now the counter is so hard to do with a 2 counts entry and 2 counts exit, because like with a counter it's much more flowy and you have to respect like the wind and unwind of the body, and to do that quickly without rolling the edge is so hard. So you might see a lot of level 3 footworks where the skaters are getting starting with the C-step, C-step, and we're getting a counter, we're getting a rocker in there, and a bracket, but the counter might not be called.
Counters always feel like it's like a step and a half because of what exactly what you said. Because otherwise you're gonna jump it.
It's so interesting. Like when I work with people and I start doing turns, like I'll give counts like a 1 and 1, and it's like a fluid movement. So a rocker would be like 1 movement to 1 movement. Counter, I usually go like 1 1 1 1 because there's so many moving parts within the body of like the cross check, unchecking, rolling the hip through. So there's much more structurally happening. I think it's a really cool opportunity for Katerina and Dimitri to be able to do nationals at the senior level. I mean, they're getting like that pre-senior exposure and having to push themselves even more and create that maturity, because the level of junior, especially internationally, has been raised so much now. So this just gives them another level of push. And also just for cross-training as well, to make their free dance 30 seconds longer. That step from a junior to senior free is not for the weak. Very fun skate.
Time on music, 3 minutes and 1 second. Competitors, there are about 14 minutes remaining in this session.
14 minutes.
There it is. So that happens when you have 2 free dances and 3 rhythm dances.
Is Amelia and Vadim doing their...
Whoa, 3 revs on 1 foot. Now, it's a requirement to do 1 if you want to get a level and a rotational lift. But Vadim's like, yeah, I'm going to just do 2 more because I'm that good. That's insane.
That's so pretty.
That is crazy talk. He's even got like a little smile. He's like, yeah, I know that was good. You see that? You see that? He knows that was so good. He's like, yo, wait, let's just take that in for a hot sec. Because like, I'm sure it feels good. But when you're in that sweet spot, you just start laughing because you're like, whoa, how did I get here? That was amazing. If you guys have any questions for Jackie and I, send them to us on Twitter, X, at US Figure Skating. There'll be an ice cut coming up after this last 12 minutes or so, and then we'll be following back up with you with an interview with Maddie and Evan, and then the final group. Yeah, I saw you put it up, and I'm like, oh, I'm going to just try to segue into that. The amount of circling that happens on an ice dance practice, you'd think we're a bunch of flock of seagulls, like just at the beach waiting for someone to drop a French fry. But you know what I'm talking about? They're just like, the vultures waiting. The vultures are waiting until they get their window of opportunity.
So you're calling yourselves scavengers.
Scavengers. Actually, you know what? I have to be honest. I use ice dance as a reference of like, if we're talking about disciplines of figure skating, it's like a zoo. So you have like your pair skaters, which are going to be like your bears, right? They're really cool to go see. You have like your elegant women. Haven't found a good reference point for the women. For sure, you have the men's event, which are going to be like the lions, and then you have they're all caged, right? And then the ice dancers are just the peacocks that are roaming around. I mean, whoever's got the brightest feathers usually wins, and that's what you see. Like, there's so much peacocking going on in these practices, and everyone loves to go take photos of them, and they're just like kind of there, right? And then you walk on and you're like, oh, I want to go watch the like scary animals, and then you're like, oh, a footwork.
They are scary animals.
They are.
Yeah. And then they'll peck at each other if they're too close.
That's it. Oh my gosh, we've had our fair share of close calls.
Yeah.
Couple collisions. Sometimes you get some athletes too that just don't have the, not maturity necessarily, but the knowledge to give space when space is due. When someone has music on, and some people just like really, especially newer teams or teams coming up from junior, they love to fight for the space. Now there's a commanding of space, and then there's like a, I mean, as you just saw with Annabelle and Jeffrey with Christina Anthony. Christina Anthony showed up on the screen, and Annabelle and Jeffrey peeled off just a little bit. Like, you start to respect based on where you are in your element. I mean, spins usually have right of way a lot of the time because you can't really move out of them quickly. Lifts always pretty much get right away just for safety, and then if you have music on, 100%. But everything else is fair game. People have skated in between us during a 1 foot section or a twizzle before.
Yeah.
Blatantly. It's like, they'll look at us. I'm like, what's going on here? Like, I'll talk to them during it. Like, go move. And I love it too. Like, I love that little.
But also, are they making a commentary on how close you are on your twizzles?
They might be. They might be. I'll just make sure they can't do it next time.
Exactly.
Nice try. Yeah, we were at an event once. It's hilarious. But we were like presenting to go do our program, and I sent Caitlin out like after I presented her, and there was a team. He like looked right at me and just skated towards me and like cut right in between us as we were trying to get to our starting bows, and I had to like recircle back around. And Caitlin's like, "What was that?" It was a fun practice. Raphael and Alexi really hammering out rhythm dance this whole practice. A lot of the times you see these skaters really trying to get a mix into some of their free dance if they can, or rhythm dance if they've already switched over, but I've noticed that they're still hammering through that.
And to be clear, Jean-Luc was talking about skating that's off the camera right now.
Yep.
That gold costume from Dimitri is really shouting Oscar season right now for me.
That's it. A lot of laps. Trying to get that breath back. I used to be so out of breath on these practices. Tried my best not to look it, but man, get gassed.
I'll be out of breath after 3 laps.
That's it. It was always so cool, though. We always had a, more times than not, especially at a U.S. Championships, there was like a nutritionist that was here with us that would always have snacks ready for you as soon as you get off the ice. Protein bars or chocolate milk. I would hit that up before going to the locker room real quick.
Yeah, we're seeing that right now with the rest of these practices. They are going through parts of their program, but these are not the hard parts of their program that they're going through. It's sort of the the equivalent of singles and pair skaters going through their sort of step sequences and spins right at the end.
Yeah. A lot of just like hot spots within a program
Right.
here. You can see Raphael and Alexei just working the corner there to set themselves up for what would be a combo lift for their free dance. It's just like figuring out your walls, figuring out your corners. So when it's game time, you're not all congested.
You see that twizzle right there? That was what I was talking about, where the spacing gets narrow to wide, and then also just a little bit of a looser body position because they're trying to hang on to that twizzle a little bit more. It's those kinds of things that it really make a big difference with the grades of execution.
Mm-hmm. When we get to an event and I look at the schedule and it said there was a 40-minute practice, I was like, oh man. I always loved a 30-minute because there's like, oh yeah, after that last skater, there's 1 minute left in your warm-up. I'm like, sick.
14 minutes
14
left.
minutes is like, oh man, should we just do it all again? Amelia and Vadim's midline step from this rhythm dance, although they are in free dance costumes, is very exciting. They really are good. Just the spacing, the dancing.
The shoulder shimmies.
That's it. They're here to play this week.
I appreciate that you used that term correctly.
They're here to play?
Yeah, as opposed to they're not here to play,
Yeah.
which I have heard way too many times.
Yeah, I mean,
You
it's
are
all
here-
fun.
you're here to play. You're here
Let's
to
have some
play.
fun. Let's see what our training's like gonna allow us to do. Follow us on social media at US Figure Skating. We're on all the platforms.
It's interesting. I don't think folks are hearing the background music right now, but I'm watching Amelia and Vadim do parts of their rhythm dance, and it's to the same rhythm and beat as the background music that's playing at the rink. And so they're just like counting off
I love that.
based on that. Nerding out on tempo.
That's it.
I do love ice dance practice cool downs where you just see knees.
I mean, that's why I'm not talking. I'm just like admiring, like
Knees.
watching some good skating right now.
There's 1 minute remaining in this practice session.
Good knees, good turns.
If we mispronounce your name,
Good
please notify
times.
the
That's it.
announcers so we can correct it for the competition.
Well, that was exciting. That concludes the second group of the championship ice dance practice. There will be a brief ice make, quick little interview with Chalk Bates, and then we're going to finish on up with the third group. Stay tuned.
Competitors, this concludes the practice for Group B of the championship dance. We are going to resurface the ice now, and then we'll continue with Group C.
I was pretty young. I was about 5 years old, and I was not one that dealt well with the summer heat in Texas. So we found something indoors, an ice rink. So I really enjoyed that. I never really got to see snow. So being able to see snow and ice was something that was really cool to a 5-year-old in Texas. And I kind of just took off from there. I had helmet, knee pads, elbow pads, and I was just flying across the ice, and it just stuck.
Please welcome to the ice, Amber Glenn.
I'm a little nerdy. I enjoy comic books, anime, cosplaying, a card game called Magic the Gathering. It's a little obscure, but if you know, you know. Just trading and collecting, those kind of things. I have a dog named Uki. I love her so much. She's so cute. Please enter a photo if you can. Love her dearly. And honestly, just spending time with friends and family is huge for me. Obviously, I can't train as much as I did when I was 11, 12, 13. I have to manage my time really well. I have to make sure that I'm taking care of my body and my mind as best as I can. And part of doing it at my age is making sure it's something that I still enjoy, something I get satisfaction out of, and I still do. So just taking care of my body and mind is really important. U.S. Nationals was a whirlwind of emotions. I mean, to go out there and know that it was in my grasp to be the champion was something that I had never really felt before. And after the short program, having such a great time, being in second, being the highest I'd been after a short program before at Nationals was exhilarating. And to land the axel and the free skate, but then have it kind of slip away from me in the second half and lose that focus was devastating. I tried to keep my expectations in check, and when I heard that I had won, I just lost it on national TV, which is a little embarrassing, but it's something that I'll never forget. I'm approaching this season with the mental side being my focus. Of course, I have obvious goals like medaling at both my Grand Prix. This year I'm doing triple axel in both the programs, and just overall trying to stay consistent. As someone that's been skating for almost 20 years, I've had tremendous highs and very low lows, to where I've had to take a step back from skating to prioritize my mental health. But I've also had these highs that are going to be highlights in my life. But I always make sure that I know that I'm more than just my skating, I'm more than just my successes and more than just my failures, that I'm a person who has people that I love and that love me, and to just make sure that that's at my core, and that kind of keeps me in a good direction.
I went to go do my bracket and I caught my edge, and I was on my right foot, and my left foot, my toe pick went down into the ice and got caught. Like, usually when something like that happens, you can catch yourself with the other foot. But this time it just so happened that my toe pick caught, and the way that I was falling, my ankle kind of rolled outward, and then my momentum was still moving this way, so I wound up falling on top of my ankle as it rolled outward, and it just kind of snapped. So I needed surgery to repair the bone and shift the joint back into its proper place. Otherwise, I didn't have very much hope of ever safely jumping again. I, in total, was off the ice for like 5 months, and then came back early this spring and had to work my way back up from there. My short program is something different for me this year. It's it's kind of something I haven't really done before. It's Lord of the Dance. It's you know, it's Irish dance. So it's been a really fun challenge for me. Choreographing this program on a newly healed broken ankle was a bit of an interesting process, but it's been fun, and I'm really excited to show everyone this different side of me and kind of explore this new territory of artistic ability. My long program, I am so passionate about. I kept my free skate that I had planned on skating last year because this is a piece of music that I've wanted to skate to for a very long time, and it's one of those pieces that I could just feel in my chest when I listen to it, and it just gives me goosebumps. So I can't wait to see how I'm able to grow this program over the course of the season, and I'm so excited to share it with everyone, and I hope everyone can feel my joy when I'm skating this program. I miss traveling, I miss, you know, seeing everyone at competitions. I miss the feeling of being in that competitive atmosphere. It's such a unique feeling, and it's such a privilege to be able to make it to these competitions and get to experience that. So I'm very excited to be back and healthy, and I have to shout out my team because without them I wouldn't be back here. So I just want to say a special thank you to all of the people on my recovery team and all the people on US Figure Skating's medical team that helped me get back to where I am today, because I owe a lot of people a big thank you for all their help.
Coming off of winning US championships, it's both an honor but also a lot of pressure we put on ourselves to try to keep improving and try to keep growing for the next season. So this off season was all about how hard we can push ourselves to try to improve programs, choreography, elements, just the relationship on the ice, the ease of performance in general.
Just start to fine-tune that process that we've started to work on in the season and a half that we had beforehand, and just figure out, we keep saying our process, but it's very important, especially when there's like 2 people involved.
Over a year or two, as Ellie's becoming more and more comfortable, and as I'm understanding how to skate with Ellie, and we're really stepping into this season like very side by side, as opposed to maybe me taking the front or trying to protect in some way like I might have in the past. So,
As like a person that learns the best through feeling, it's not easier, but it's a little bit more comfortable to be like pushed out of my comfort zone and not feel like it's just like so overwhelming, because I have like a little bit of that knowledge to like back myself now. So I feel like if there's any change, it's more like in myself and like through the experiences that I've gained over the past year and a half, and just learning how to be like a better partner for Danny instead of just having to like figure out how to keep my own feet underneath me.
This year-long program is done by Marie-France and the I Am crew up there, because they work as a group together when they're choreographing, and it was an amazing experience. It's very much pushing us outside of the boundaries we've worked in before, and I think that's great. It's difficult. Ice dancers are amazing for a reason. There's a lot of hard work that they put into making it look as effortless as it is, and we're putting in that work now to try and bridge the gap between pair skating and dance as best we can. There's definitely unique bits in why pair skaters are not ice dancers, but but we're doing our best to try and emulate that feel and be able to have more intricate transitions and keep you just completely invested for the entire program. So it's been a fun process working with them.
When you contribute to the U.S. Figure Skating Fund, your gift forms the backbone of our initiatives, enabling us to support skaters across all levels and spearhead programs that ignite athlete potential. It's not just a donation, it's an investment in the dreams and aspirations of countless athletes who make figure skating an incredible spectacle of strength, artistry, and resilience. U.S. Figure Skating thanks you for your continued support.
All right, nice job today. Very good. Excellent. Yeah, you're welcome.
Focus on your unison when you're coming out.
And then we're gonna bend your knees a little. And you're trying to push out with one foot.
Oh, we gotta finish on commitment.
Our arms are out, and we're bending our knees.
Good job. Look at you. Can we swizzle together? Let's see, can we swizzle?
Somebody's gonna have to go tight, so be careful. All right, go again.
138.85. And your total score, 204. Season's best.
Hi and welcome back. It is Jean-Luc Baker, Jackie Wong, and our special guests, good friends Maddie and Evan. Thank you for joining us here today. We just want to quickly talk through a couple of things. How was that practice for you guys?
Practice. Excuse me. Practice felt great. The arena has such a wonderful energy. I love the vibe already. We had a really good skate. The ice feels good, and we're ready to go. Excited to perform for Wichita.
Oh, we're so excited for that. And let's talk a little bit about some changes that I saw. They've changed from the final. What have we done with that?
We changed a little bit in the free dance. We changed our curve lift, and we changed the direction of our choreo step sequence.
I thought so.
And a little tweak in the rhythm dance, which we didn't perform in this practice, but yeah, just some upgrades that we made since the Grand Prix final, and looking forward to showcasing it this weekend.
Well, fun. I mean, you get this ice once before you actually go and compete, and then never again. I mean, we're talking about how you're going to be living at the practice rink for the next couple of days. What was your strategy here so that you take advantage of this ice rink and being able to kind of like figure out where everything is?
Well, I think just like any other competition, you want to acclimate as quickly as you can and get used to the lights and the spacing of the arena, the size of the rink, and where the boards come at you and where they don't. So it was just that kind of like get your bearings and get ready to go.
Those boards are kind of like monsters, right? Like
Well, sometimes the corners of rinks are different, so you have to just like test them out, make sure all the footwork's fit, and then you're good to go.
Very, very cool. And you want to give us like what your favorite part about Hawaii?
Hawaii, oh my gosh. So
we're in Hawaii right now?
We're in Hawaii.
I wish. I'm talking about your wedding.
I think obviously getting married to Maddie was, it was a dream for us. Like, we had always dreamt of having that Hawaiian wedding. Maddie's family is from Hawaii. We had lots of friends and family who made the trip, made it extra special. And it's funny because it feels like it was 2 years ago already, but it was only 7 months. But sometimes we just throw on the wedding video just to like reminisce because it was the best time. It was just the best.
Amazing. Well, so cool. Thank you guys for being here with us. We're so excited to see you guys perform. But first, go rest up, sleep, eat, do all the things that Wichita has to offer. And we're so excited to see you. And with that, let's check out who's going to be on the next group.
Thank you.
Good afternoon. Hello? Okay. Good afternoon. This practice session is for Group C of the Champion Dance practice. Competitors may now take the ice for a 5-minute warm-up. Each competitor's music is going to be played one time in the following order. Leah Nesset and Artem Markelov, Una Brown and Gage Brown, Amy Tsui and Jonathan Rogers, Caroline Green and Michael Parsons, Michaela Melillo and Carl Schopfel.
All right, so final group of ice dance here. Excited to see some skating. Looks like we only have 4 in this grouping right now. I'm excited because it looks like we're going to have a little bit more rhythm dance on this one. 1 free dance. Yeah, I think it'll be a fun one.
So much rhythm.
So much rhythm. Feel the rhythm. Feel the rhyme. Get on up. It's ice dance time. Did you like that, Jackie?
Is it that? It's only the second day.
That's it. That's right. Cool Runnings. Such a good movie.
We were talking about the Browns earlier doing their free dance run through last year. Not doing that this year. Definitely going rhythm dance here for their run through for this practice.
Mm-hmm. And this team is like, it's going to be interesting to see what happens with them at this event because they have been getting some pretty solid rhythm dance scores.
Yep.
Nothing exponential like in the 78s, but still like very good contenders. I mean, the depth, there's about 4 or 5 teams all in the same ballpark of getting very similar scores internationally, and I think it's going to be really interesting to see what happens on this national stage. And I think a lot of it's going to come down to who can stay calm, not overperform, but not underperform. And I think it's going to be super crucial to see that. And the team that's not on the ice is Leah and Artem. I thought I heard 1 minute left, but this is Leah and Artem. It's a team that's not you, skate person. It's
We're being deprived of the ABBA rhythm dance right now.
That's it. I think what's so interesting and what's so cool to watch about the Browns is the dynamicness that they bring to their skating. Now, they're a smaller in stature team. I mean, it's close to home for me. If anyone knows, I was not a tall skater, or human, actually.
You still aren't a tall skater.
Yeah, I'm still the same height. I might have actually shrunk. I'm not even gonna lie. Taller with my boots on, but it's so interesting because they skate so big when they are out there and they push every single step. Every step matters to them. Every step matters to all these skaters. But they let us know that they're really gonna maximize the most out of this. It's an interesting choice to not have Leah and Artem here. Maybe they didn't make it in time or what. I don't know if they did the practice earlier today or not, but this is, like we've mentioned, this is the only time you're skating on that main rink, so they'll be relying just purely on that 20-minute warm-up to get themselves situated and not hear their music on this rink at all, which could work in their favor depending on how much they trust themselves and how much they trust their training.
So you wait for the next one. There was an interesting question that came in. You were talking about using parts of the signs on the boards as ways for you to spot and figure out where your turns are. There was, at the Grand Prix final, they were using electronic boards that were changing.
Yeah.
Like, how does that change the way that you think about it?
Oh, so like in reference to what you see on the screen, you can see in consumer cellular, but now it's going to move, but above that on top it says 102 for the section. We would then choose just a different benchmark or even just the railing like to the left of the camera in center ice. So obviously the markings are the easiest cue, and we always tried to choose markings that were a little higher rather than being on the ice markings, because what happens is then you're automatically thinking about looking down. Uno engaged. shredding straight out of the gate.
So much James Brown this year. So much.
Unison's excellent. Love this right here. Hey, so cool. I've seen a couple skaters in their midline steps today like do things where you can touch the ice. You're allowed to this year. I think they do the best one of actually the whole circuit in terms of the stops, the dance stop, and using the accessibility of using the ice. That is just so dynamic. There was an audible woo from the audience. So Gage there, I think, second twizzle got a little close to Una and then tried to back off, but on a back left outside twizzle, that's the last thing you want to do is put your weight further back.
Yep.
Then that's why you saw he lifted his arms and tried to catch it.
But that would have been downgraded to a 3 because he switched edges in the middle of that. I think what's made this rhythm dance even like incredibly effective is just like the movements are all very well timed to the music. I mean, that usually has to be the case, right? But I think that theirs is particularly well suited to actually the music that they're skating to.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, like everything seems to make sense. There isn't just like oh yeah, we should do a midline here.
Exactly.
Whenever we were choreographing, it was never like oh, this would work. We've done that, and oh, we're bumping that music now.
Wow.
Whenever you do a this would work, you're really underwhelmed when you get the score, because that this would work is what's
actually
perceived.
Work.
Yeah, exactly. Like, but it's complacent, and it's like oh sure we can do it there versus like does it call for it? Hey. And it's so hard to skate and dance. And I know that may be like weird to hear, but I think to show good skating quality in a rhythm dance is so challenging because the desire from the technical and the judging panel and everybody, they want to see dancing. I mean, it's a social dance. So the idea of trying to have good edge quality and good speed while dancing on the ice it's a lot harder than people, I think, can imagine. Amy and Jonathan
What
doing...
do we think? Swan Lake?
Yeah. Free dance.
What do we think?
Or James Brown.
James Brown is more James Brown.
I would do that starting pose with James Brown.
Yeah. Well, you
Who's going to look up
off
first?
that
Is she
thing.
looking up first? Or, oh, they're waiting for the music. It's like one of them's going to look to see are they going to push play. The classic. So when watching a team like this, they have nice power straight out of the gate, but I think Jonathan loses quite a bit, which is a small cue, but his ribs are quite open when he skates, which like arches his lower back, and that just disconnects your upper and lower body, which means that you can push quite a bit, but when that whole system is contained, it really can generate so much more power when you're using your whole body. You can see him overstretching a lot because of the expression. I was notorious for that early on in my career. There is your combo, change edge I was telling you about. Same position. See how they could stay in it?
Yeah.
Like
and much more efficient in the timing that you have for the program.
Absolutely. You have one entrance, one exit, bing, bang, boom. You got it locked down. 13 seconds is your maximum you can do. Anything more than that, you're going to get a deduction.
I just feel like if I was an ice dancer, I would be so frustrated anytime I get an extended lift deduction because it's like, I mean, come on.
You know what's almost worse? I think what's worse is when you get a timing call on, like when you would do compulsories and there was levels on compulsories. When you got a timing call, it meant that you got the key point. You just were slow or fast.
It's like DDR.
That's it. Too early.
Yeah.
Almost perfect, but
Yeah.
not.
Not perfect. Good.
It's interesting too, if you noticed in the transition before they were doing cross cuts, they obviously had a team coming towards them. You could tell that they were going to stop before they did, because skaters oftentimes will let their energy start to drop when they know a break is coming, which is so crucial to not do, in my opinion, because stop when you're planning to stop. Don't stop 2 seconds, 3 seconds prior to it.
I would have never thought of this part of the music to be a character step.
Right? Oh, very nice.
You were talking about rotational lift ice coverage earlier. That one was very narrow in its coverage.
Yeah, it didn't cover much, and it kind of wrapped a little bit like on itself, like a choreo jumps here. Followed by a choreo twizzle sequence.
And a layback spin.
Nice.
Okay, but one of my favorite rhythm dances of the entire season.
Mm-hmm. I think it's going to be fun to see how this team shapes up at this event. The rhythm dance is really fun and strong. I know they had a really tough year last year. Just battling injuries, material, all of the above. Try that again.
Yep.
Nice try. Yeah, he's like, I'm going to just restart that.
I was hearing, by the way, that at this competition, the skating, the music techs have been asked to wait a little bit longer in between the skaters, just so that, as you were talking about, the tech panel can finish jotting down their notes.
Mm. And waiting to push play.
Yeah.
What's really hard, I have to say, is that wait time. You're in a pocket, you're in a good window, and when there's time to be like, are they going to push play? It takes you out of your connection if you're not careful, and it starts to make you really nervous.
Beauty.
Nice. Very solid. And a team for power is these guys. Their edge quality is actually, it's quite crazy to see that they have this ability in a rhythm dance.
Because of the fast tempo.
Yeah.
Yeah. Had to cut that on the corner really
I know, and
really
it's
steeply.
you know what? That's going to be a problem for Michael's bracket. As you saw him, he popped out of that corner a little early, and then he ended up rolling it. You're giving the technical panel just too much of an easy job to see that bracket not be a bracket and almost a good outside 3 turn, in ice dance terms at least.
Extra.
Yeah, even Michael's laughing at that. He's like, "Oh my god!"
Extra little something. I mean, they didn't bring down the energy 2 seconds before, did they?
What's so cool about seeing them this year is just really seeing them be themselves. They are so in their own pocket now, it feels like, and they're leaning into who they are and their own maturity that they have. It's exciting to just see skaters performing for themselves, and obviously understanding that they're performing to compete, but
okay, I've come to appreciate this part of the midline a lot more, but every single time they drop down at about this moment.
Yeah, right after this,
you're
right
like,
here.
oh no, and then it's just part of the choreograph. There we go.
It's fun.
It is.
I feel like Michael's a little tight today to be competing with the people that I know that they'd like to. He's going to want to loosen that up a little bit. Caroline looks like she's right in that pocket. She's just chilling right now. I mean, chilling. She's working, but you can feel like an effortlessness.
His shoulders are up.
That's exactly what I'm getting at. Like, and he's a perfect example of somebody that when those maybe nerves or tightness just gets there just a little bit, the shoulders come up and it moves as a full unit as opposed to a little bit more disassociation, which creates a stiffness. Love it. That's fun.
We continue with the rhythm dance skated by Michaela and Carl Schonfeld.
And this is Michaela and Carl.
Ooh. You saw him adjust because he saw that she was too close, and there was almost a collision there.
Yeah, exactly. Whoa. That was like a full send throw there. You know, they made that rule that you can touch the boards in a character step. I just wish that someone sat on the boards. I would have done that. Honestly, I would have loved to just jump up and like sit right next to the ref. It'd be amazing.
Breaking the fourth wall.
Why not? It'd be so fun.
Yeah. Would it?
I mean, I think people would
you.
love it. I think people would love it. I think the ref would be like, yo, get out of my bubble. But whatever, it's fine. I can reset that stopwatch for you. So don't blow that whistle. I might take it from you. It'd be hilarious. I would love to.
Okay, but maybe the most hilarious so far has been Amy and Jonathan doing their rhythm dance in their Swan Lake costumes.
Yeah, I'm really hoping the camera picks up on that one in a little bit because the vibe is very different. Very different vibe.
Disco swans.
Oh, hey, that's a good one. Maybe we'll do that as a show program.
Disco swans.
Run back the Black Swan, but disco.
Just channel Dice K.
Oh, that's true, huh?
Splits.
Yep.
They're so powerful.
Browns?
Yeah.
Yeah. They train so hard, too. It is crazy. Again, I've worked with them a couple times up in Montreal when they've come up to train. And honestly, like, they're like, get on it. Ask them, like, what's on the schedule? And say, free dance front, 10 minutes, bang. Bang it out, clean, solid. Rhythm dance, same thing. They're just like, what else do you want? Let's keep going. And no questions, not really. More just tell us how to get better. Committed to the craft.
Oh, there's disco swans happening right now.
That's it. Gives a good move here. Yeah, I mean, not super Swan Lakey.
The body rolls with the Swan Lake costumes.
I know.
That's what gets me.
So you're gonna see in the event where Jonathan just did his bracket in that corner where it says Prevagen. You're gonna see probably like
everybody doing those.
70% of the teams doing their bracket over there, farthest away from your technical panel, and you're gonna try to hide it. And the amount of strategy that comes from like showing enough of a turn to say that it's clean, but also we would do turns where I would do a bracket in the corner like that, and I'd have Caitlin on the inside of the circle, so then that way they would even have a harder time seeing it. And they knew exactly what we were doing. There's no rule that you can't do it.
Yeah.
But
it's like hiding the Let's Edge in single skating.
Yes.
Same kind of thing where like you know where the operating camera is.
Yes.
And you know where it's going to hit, and if it's hitting a flat, if it's hitting the side of your blade, it's much harder to see the edge.
Oh yeah, you want to make sure that everything is strategy. We would place turns that we knew we were so confident in right in front of them to just be like, oh yeah, it should be a level 4.
So easy.
It's no problem. Look at this. Everything's super solid. I'm like, hey, don't watch this turn. Look at my upper body. Look at me smiling or something.
Well, and brackets are of all the turns so hard to get on the edges because of just the mechanics of the bracket, right? It even if you look at the way that it's generally drawn on the ice, you often go into it much flatter than any of the other turns, and so it's much harder for you to get on a real edge.
Yeah.
To get in, to get into it.
Yes.
Getting out of it is a different story.
Yeah, but you're absolutely right, and yeah, I mean, I could talk about brackets all day. I mean, I'm such a nerd when it comes to skating skill and turns and whatnot. I love just the way how it all works, and brackets oftentimes too. you don't want to do them with a lot of speed. You see teams that are like, oh, let's start with a 1 foot section with a bracket. You don't see it. You're going to see a rocker or a counter. That's going to be your 2 turns that you're going to start with. And more times than not, you're either going to do a rocker counter second, switching those 2 around. Your bracket, more times than not, will either be 4th, the last turn, or 3rd before the twizzle. I know I just said that totally randomly, but more times than not, you're going to finish with a bracket or a twizzle.
Well, we were talking about counters earlier and how those are often hard to set on a beat because of the counter rotation. The same thing with the bracket. The bracket is also a counter rotation, and so the rocker and the 3-turn by design are easier to get on the beats because they turn in the same direction versus the counter and the bracket.
Yeah. Nerds, love it. Just 2 nerdy dudes up here. Love it. These guys are gonna get a little tight on this wall here. They like altered their pattern because there was another team, which is all fun and games until you just make your life a lot harder later on.
All fun and games until you clip the boards.
That's right. One of the most casual people at the boards is Gage Brown. He was just leaning on the wall, like chatting so casually. I love it. And then there's Michael in the shot with his hands behind his back.
Michael's like all business. Gage is like,
that's it. Gage is like, yo, what's up?
For dinner?
Yeah. Look at that. Black Swans shredding. Disco Swans.
The Disco Swans. They were about to. They set themselves up again. You saw that to take the midline starting at at like a quarter.
I mean,
in.
That's not changing.
Yeah,
that's not going to change here.
I mean, they have a lot of room to be able to bring it over.
It's because they want to start with the back outside S step Choctaw in the direction that they're going, which. Like they just have to wait to come around the circle in order to prep that edge.
Yeah.
Which is obviously challenging.
Of all the elements from the Browns, the Twizzles are the ones that they are the most sort of deliberate on, whereas the other elements I see them just more free, and it's like I just think they think through those Twizzles a lot more.
I noticed that as well. I think that, I mean, when those guys just let it loose and they try to not to intellectualize their skating too much, it's really, really fun to watch.
Yeah, these two made some corrections there on those twizzles. Much better.
Mm-hmm.
I think in making that correction, they pull themselves apart a little bit more than they usually do.
Mm-hmm. You have Caroline and Michael going to their free dance now.
I was about to say his shoulders are looking similarly up, and then in the middle of that pattern, he seemed to have calmed down a little bit.
Settled down a little more, yeah. Sometimes it just takes a while. I mean, first time on this ice again. Second practice of the day. It can be a little taxing. We got like techno going on in this arena right now.
This is a different playlist than I have heard.
Yeah.
I feel like the the playlist used to be sort of the same songs from the like late 90s.
Is Caitlin playing music? I feel like DJ Chaos on the decks right now. I don't know why, but
this is probably her mix.
Honestly, maybe. Yeah, this is like Caroline and Michael look so calm, and this is playing right now. That's crazy. It's like watching the Black Swan do some disco.
And they're done for the day. All right, finishing up dance practice here. Anything that you saw today that changes how you think about the event?
Oh, no. I mean, like, this event's going to be so interesting, and it's going to come down to really that rhythm dance, I think, big time. Having a really calm, controlled composure, and really just trying to be squeaky clean on all your elements, not giving away any points. Just so then you can set yourself up in that last group for the free dance as best as possible, because that can, as a game changer, what number you're skating. It really is. And if you're in that last group for free, I think then you're really putting yourself in strike zone to get on that podium. So I'm very excited. Everyone looks really ready. Yeah.
Well, I mean, so important about that last group, because if you look at the field, you really have 4 or 5, again, like last year, 4 or 5 teams that are very closely matched.
Yep.
And the difference between going second to last and last group is immense.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's going to be an intense event, and I'm so excited. It's going to be good. Do you want us on cam?
That'd be nice.
Yeah. Click on cam. Thanks for watching.
Competitors, the practice is now over for Group C of the champion pairs.
We're going to resurface the ice now, and then we will be back with the novice pairs free skate competition. That competition will begin at 4:35.
All right, well, that wraps up the championship ice dance practice for today in the main rink. Thank you so much, Jackie.
It reminds me that I need to watch dance practice more because it's really fun.
It's fun. I mean, I love it. It was cool. It was exciting. A lot of performing today. The event's going to be really fun. Tune in to watch that. Check it out. Tomorrow we'll be covering some more practices. I will be having some more special guests in the practice rink, so feel free to check that out, and we will see you there.
They're kicking us out.
That's it. They're telling us to go. So thank you guys for watching. See you later.